Hey, what is happening, you sexy beast? Vertibird here, and welcome to another episode of Fallout 4 Mod Review Boobpocalypse, a mod review of a silly and hilarious story to connect all the mods and episodes together. In the previous episode, Rebby and her followers were smoking weed and having fun, and the reason was to get Piper high so she won't expose what Rebby did a few episodes ago in her newspaper. Some of the followers are still wearing the black leather suit, which isn't a very smart thing to do when you're smoking a blunt. Some of the ash might show up on the black leather. They're gonna need the Synth suit Precursor retexture by Hoax 2, which changes the textures and appearance of the Precursor suit, which is an outfit that we reviewed in the previous episode. The Synth suit now has shades of grey instead of black, and just like the Precursor suit, it is kind of roughed up and a little bit dirty looking. It is a retexture of the Precursor suit, which is a retexture of another outfit, the Ghost in the Shell outfit. The Synth suit has G3, which means Generation 3, written on the shoulders and chest of the suit. And behind the neck there is a barcode and there is some very nice assets down there. The Synth suit might be a better suit to wear just because it's grey, and grey probably blends in a little bit more with the city landscape much more effectively. It is a retexture, so it will override the Precursor suit. However, the leather jacket will remain the same. Smoking all this weed is making Rebby feel kinda tired and sleepy. I think she needs to sit down for a little bit. Sit Anywhere by Flipdeezy is a mod that allows you to sit anywhere, as the title suggests. When you have the mod installed, an item called Sit will appear in your inventory. Equip it and it will automatically cause your character to sit down. Now, I have reviewed another mod that allows you to sit down a long time ago. And well, it's not really a mod. Back then, it was more like a command that you type in the command console to activate an animation. So this is a new, much more updated mod. After, jogging for a long time, maybe you want to rest. No problem. Just activate the mod and you sit down. Now, for the most part, I think this is probably best used as a way to take screenshots of your character sitting down in various pretty places. I think Rebby should get back to work and maybe do something serious, and hope the Brotherhood won't make her take a random drug test or something. And what the hell is this? What? I know what you did. Oh crap, what does this mean? Does this mean that someone knows that Rebby killed Strong 2 episodes ago? But only Rebby and Dogmeat knows the truth. Oh, this is not good. Oh man, looks like Rebby needs to arm herself just in case a masked individual in a black hooded suit comes at us with a knife or something. The Murdering Chainsaw by TrickyVein is a kick-ass looking chainsaw that will make any attacker think twice before attacking you, for he or she may lose some limbs in the process. The chainsaw is a very serious looking weapon, and it's based on the auto axe from Fallout 3 and as well as the chainsaw from Fallout New Vegas. The Murdering Chainsaw is a melee weapon that has no equal, well, except for maybe having a chainsaw for a hand. The chainsaw can be modded with different types of chains that add certain attributes to the chainsaw. So let's go with the cutting chain, just because the sharpness looks much more deadly. It can be given a coat of paint. Let's see, what should we choose? Let's just choose pink. Yeah, perfect. Now there can also be attachments added as well. This is the Pyrotechnic Chainsaw, which is a combination of the Sis Kebab and chainsaw weapon. It cuts and lights enemies on fire. This here is the Raider dressing add-on, and it has some skulls and steel rebar on the base of the chainsaw. And what it does, it increases the chance of crippling someone, and as well as adding bonus to limb damage. Now, it is a freaky weapon. Now, when I was using it, I was reminded of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All I need is one of those Raider scarecrow looking masks to go over my head, and it's perfect. The chainsaw is nice and all, but what if whoever goes after Rebby has a ranged weapon? Rebby is gonna need a big gun. Modular Simonov PDRS 41 anti-tank rifle by MJP 2008 contains some of the biggest guns I've ever seen for Fallout 4. There are 3 weapons, and they can be found on raiders, gunners, or they can be bought from a vendor. The first gun is the Type 76, which is a anti-tank rifle, and it has a very long barrel. I mean, it's so big that I'm getting wet looking at it, wetter than a pussycat in the rain. Now for these types of weapons, the muzzle brake is the most sexy in my opinion. You know, I always like the tip. And since this is a very big weapon, let's go shoot at cars instead of gas cans like we usually do. Again, take note of the sounds, animations, and even the muzzle flash. The second weapon is the Simonov, and it has a kind of a different look to it. It has a carrying handle, and it can be as large as the Type 76. The long barrel is because, well, you know, you need to engage armor, and you kind of need a big, long, thick barrel to get better accuracy and for it to handle the pressures of shooting like a big caliber round. Now this here is another muzzle brake, and it's just as hot as the Type 76 one. The third weapon right here is the old school can opener, and this is not a gun, it's actually a melee weapon, and it's pretty much like a Simonov with a halberd blade on the end, so it's basically a big giant axe. Now the weapon is so large and so tall that it's even taller than my character Rebby here. There are over 90 different mods that can be added to the rifles. There is a bunch of receivers to increase damage, rate of fire, and all the other good stuff. Barrels is probably one of the more important mods just because it dramatically changes how the gun looks. There are a few magazine sizes. There are 8 different stocks for the rifles. Oh, the muzzles. Oh yeah, the muzzles. All these muzzles here is making me feel all dizzy and hot here. Oh boy, oh boy. For the accessories, there are a few different handguards and bipods. And adding a scope does make sense, you know, with the power of this weapon. And lastly, there are around 22 ammo types, and it can fire both 50 cal or the 14.5mm, which is a larger round. The anti-tank rifle reminds me of an anime called Hellsing, one of my favorite anime of all time. Now the female protagonists use one, and the Papal Knights from the Vatican also use something like the old school can opener. It also kind of reminds me of another anime called Go-Go 13, yes indeed. Now I will assume that the mod author is a Hellsing fan. And I recommend the anime Hellsing to, you know, anyone that kind of likes guns, vampires, werewolves, zombies, Nazis, and there's plenty of action. With the anti-tank gun and chainsaw, let's go and seriously test it out with a new quest mod. The Ransacked Relays and Shuddersome Subways by Trainwiz is one of the first, if not the first, ever quest mod for Fallout 4, and it adds 2 new locations to explore. The first dungeon is at the northern part of the map. It's a totally new location and has a big satellite dish and a few other structures on the surface. So right here is the entrance into the relay station, and once inside, it's a very creepy dark dungeon to go through. There are traps all around this map, and there are dark corners to peek around to make sure there's no bad guys around. And it is a very well designed map with an elevator, and eventually it will lead you to a vault. So far there's no enemies, you know, just traps and whatnot, but it does, you know, there will be some action. Now behind this metal door right here, we have the boss room, and once inside, when we get closer to the middle, something activates and comes alive. So right here in the middle of the room, there is a big boss called the Acronym, and it shoots freaking lasers in your way to prevent you from climbing up to the top of the little room right there. And the dungeon also has a bit of a jumping puzzle to overcome, and as well as enemies that will shoot at you and try to mess you up. And at the end, there is a custom weapon that you can get called a Rob Guns pistol, which kind of looks like a hybrid of the alien blaster and plasma gun. Now I won't tell you what the gun does. You're gonna have to download the mod and find out for yourself. Now there is a second dungeon and it's located at the southern part of the map. It is a subway station. Now the entrance is a lot less noticeable than the relay station. Inside it's just as creepy, and as you guess, it is a subway station, and there's even some cool things like events like a subway train going right through it. There are some triggers. Now after navigating through the subway train cars, you will emerge in this big room. It's kind of a big huge cavern, and there is something really big in the middle. The Mirrorlurk God Queen Death Killer Supreme. Oh my goodness. Oh man, what a name, what a mouthful. Now this is a boss that will take a long time to kill with conventional weapons, even with the anti-tank gun. Now the only way to kill it is to run a train up the queen's ass, literally. You know, you just gotta make sure that you're first in line so you don't get any sloppy seconds.
Homeboys up the hill run a train on your girlfriend. You know what a train is, don't you?
The weapon it drops is the Mirrorlurk Gauntlet, which kind of looks like the Deathclaw Gauntlet. Now I can't really tell you guys if there's anything special about it. You know, you can download it and find out for yourself. Now I don't know, the weapons are nice and all, but what about armor? Rebby's gonna need some protection to take some hits. Rebby hasn't used a power armor in a while, so let's get one that has something cool to walk in. MonoEye Power Armor, new effects and sound by Artesia58 is a mod that adds an eye to the visor of the power armor. The mod affects the T45, T51, and the T60. With the T45, when the headlamp is turned on, there is an eye that appears on the visor. For the T51, the eye appears in the middle, and the reason is because the T51 doesn't really have a metal part in the middle. So with the other models like the T45 and T60, the eye is kind of off-centered. So right here we have the T60, and I'm sure you guys noticed that there is a new sound effect when the eye is turned on, when the headlamp is turned on. Now that is the sound effect from Zaku from the anime's Gundam, and Zaku also has the iconic Cyclops eyes. It also kind of reminds me of a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica as well. Now with the power armor station, there are various colors that can be chosen as well, such as red or purple or blue or whatever. The ordinary power armor is nice and all, but Ruby needs something better to match her new weapons. Standalone construction power armor by Moore P1K1 is a totally new design for the power armor. It looks like a very heavy duty power armor, and based on the name, I think it may have been used in construction work, like constructing buildings and bridges and whatnot. It is yellow, and you know, it's just like any other heavy duty construction machines like bulldozers and whatever. It's yellow, just so people can see it. Now, it does seem well enough to be armored to go into combat. The power armor can be spawned in through the command console or by finding it randomly in the world. It also kind of reminds me of the power loader from the movie Aliens, or maybe like the Wolverine from the game Command & Conquer. Now, it is an excellent power armor to go with our new chainsaw and our new anti-tank rifle, and despite it being like a construction armor, it looks badass, you know. It looks kind of like a mech warrior or something. Maybe Rebby should go on offensive instead of waiting for her enemy to come forward. She can scout for her enemy with the personal craftable Vertibirds by Wintermute AI1, which is a unique mod that allows you to kind of have a special way of traveling. So how it works is you open up the build menu and you go to the special section, and then you can place down the Vertibird. And once placed, you can go up to it and enter it. And the cannon on this baby is fully functional, just like, you know, from the main questline. Now after that, you just bust out your map and select a destination. And when you do select a destination, the Vertibird will take off and fly towards it. Now isn't this a cool mod? Oh my goodness, this is so awesome. Now the Vertibird will fly there and you can enjoy the view, you could shoot random things, and you can just relax and, you know, take in the scenery. In the middle of the flight, you know, if you decide to change destination, you can do so. So let's go select somewhere. Let's go select a location that's in another direction or something, just to make the change obvious. The Vertibird will turn and go towards it. Isn't that cool? Kind of like a mid-flight change. Now, most of the time, when it reaches the destination, it lands and you can get off. And you know what? Who is Rebby even looking for? Anyways, we have no idea. Anyways, I think this is it for this episode of Follow for Mod Review Boobpocalypse. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to bang that like and subscribe button. Bang it good. Follow me on Twitter, SteamGroup, and help your favorite YouTuber and mod reviewer on Patreon. Links can be found in the video description below. So who do you guys think is the one that knows what Rebby did last summer? Now, let me know in the comment section below. I'm kind of curious, and give me a reason why. Well then, stay sexy my friends. Stay sexy my fellow Vault Dwellers. She's also wearing platform sandals, and her finger and toenails are colored to match the sling bikini, blue and pink nails. So right now, let's watch some close-up of Chun-Li getting a helmetless version of the Nuka suit that can be worn as an option as well. Now, as I mentioned before, the suit is kind of based off of the Slutty Vault suit, and you can see the buckles across the chest and arms, and